Hi, I'm Martin McGrath, Financial Leadership. Today I want to talk to you about what does retirement look like. The Australian Superannuation Standard Board put together a report every year where they categorise what does retirement look like for Australians. And they break that into a few categories. Those living off the age pension, those living off a modest lifestyle in retirement, those living off a comfortable lifestyle in retirement. And we've got some figures about how much money you should have in super, and I cover that in a bit more detail in a separate video, but I talk about living cost. And as a couple, a comfortable living cost in retirement I think is about 70 grand a year. Modest at about 48,000 a year, and as a couple off the age pension is about 43,000 a year. So there's different levels there, and singles and numbers adjusted as they are. Today I want to talk to you about, well, what does the difference between them all look like? Where do I want to aim for or shoot for? And again, obviously, this is the standards they put together. You may want to live off more money in retirement, 100,000, 200,000, different to that. So this is kind of where they put this together and how we formulate that. So there's a little table that we'll share in this video that talks about how that all fits together. I want to talk about some of the highlights now in this video in terms of that. So let's look at food. So someone on the age pension will typically eat at home. They might have a meal out once a week, but fairly kind of modest meal out. Someone on a modest lifestyle can go out a bit more often. They'll probably go to the cheaper restaurant rather than the more expensive restaurant, get the cheaper takeaway, that kind of stuff, but they can still indulge in some of that. Someone with a comfortable lifestyle can do that a bit more freely. Get the takeout when they need it, go out to a restaurant once or twice a week, and still be able to afford that type of lifestyle. Let's talk about transport. Someone on age pension may not even be able to afford a car. They may rely upon they have a very basic car or public transport to get around when they need to. Someone more of a modest lifestyle can have a car, regularly look after their car, service that car, but it's not particularly luxurious. It gets the job done in that regard. Someone on more of a comfortable lifestyle can obviously have the car. Maybe it's the newer car. It might not be a brand new expensive car costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's a comfortable car that's reliable, that's well maintained and looked after. Let's talk about healthcare. Someone on the age pension typically can't afford private health insurance. It's just too expensive. And that's okay, but that's just part of the facts in terms of that trade-off of what we're aiming for. Someone on a modest lifestyle might have some private health insurance, but it might be the basic policy. It might not come with all the bells and whistles and extras in that regard. Someone on more of a comfortable lifestyle should be able to have top private health cover, afford that, go and see the specialist when they need to, and be able to cover those gap payments, etc., without too much worry or stress. Travel is a big thing in retirement. A lot of people aim to, well, when I go to retirement and do all this traveling. Someone living off the age pension is doing fairly basic travel. It might be a night away here or there. They're not going to have the budget to be able to afford overseas trips. They might be able to do some little weekenders, and that's about it. Someone at more of a modest lifestyle can do a bit of domestic travel. Maybe interstate, trips like that, weekends away, something like that. Someone with more of a comfortable lifestyle can do that a bit more regularly. Even some overseas trips, not every year, every few years, something of that regard, but still be able to do that and plan for that and budget for that appropriately, which depends again, what retirement are we aiming for, what do we want to achieve. And lastly, home in this regard. Someone on the age pension may still own their own home, but they may not have the money to modernise and update it. They may not have the budget to run the air conditioning and the heating during different times of the year. Someone at a more modest level can afford some of that stuff, may be conscious, may be smart about it, turning it off at certain times. When it gets cost, plan appropriately, wear more layers and run the heater during the winter and stuff like that, but they still can use some of that level. So a more comfortable lifestyle can afford to update things around the house when they need to, can afford to run the air conditioning in summer, the heater in winter, ensure they're a bit more comfortable in that regard. There's more details within this, and obviously this is all generalised, but it's important to understand, where do I fit in with this? What kind of level of income am I going to need in retirement? And that's dependent upon what kind of lifestyle do I want. And obviously from there we inverse to, well, how much money do I need to be able to afford that? Both of that comfortable lifestyle, whether we're single or a couple, we're looking at least $500,000 to be able to afford that lifestyle as a minimum. And obviously the more we want, it goes up from there. We've got some different ways we calculate this and certain rules and calculators to help people put this together depending upon their own circumstance. Because obviously we might be a couple, we might retire at different levels, we might want to do more spending early, we might upgrade a car or a caravan when we retire. So it's important to personalise it to your own circumstances, but I want to explain some of those different levels for people to understand, do they want modest, do they want comfortable? Most people ideally want to be able to control their retirement where they can, but unfortunately if they can't, at least they need to know where they need to budget for and allow for that. Hope that makes sense. If you want to find out more, if you want to do a one-on-one consultation, feel free to reach out to us at financialeducate.com.au.